The UConn Huskies, one of the surprise teams in the nations that maybe flew a little bit under the radar last season, but UConn was a pretty solid football team last season, and they're going to be again in 2023. Mark my words, this UConn team is not going anywhere. Jim Mora's first year here at UConn making a bowl game was no flash in the pan at all. This is going to be another good team in 2023. The only question is, can this UConn team improve in their win total from 2023? Or is this team really a one-hit wonder? Maybe my opinion is wrong, and this team starts to fall back down the ranks of college football. What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nathan. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer. Guys, it means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But there are more ways than that you can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. Quick water break. Again, make sure you all stay hydrated, and let's talk about Husky football in 2023. Hey, here's how preview predictions work this season. We're going to go through a roster overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Husky football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, let's talk Husky football in 2023. They were a pretty solid team last year. I think it's going to be another solid team this year. You'll see that by this roster, starting out with the quarterback position. Now, Taquan Roberson, he's a former Penn State transfer, did not get a lot of time at quarterback last season. Why? Well, season-ending injury in the first game of the season. Ouch. So you had to throw in a true freshman in Zion Turner, who definitely had his good moments, but overall, definitely a lot to improve on for the young freshman from last season. 1,407 yards, 9 touchdowns to 10 interceptions on around 58% completion percentage. Not a terrible start to his career by any means, but definitely a lot of tools to improve on. Taquan Roberson, coming over from Penn State, was going to be that starter for UConn last season. Who knows, maybe they win one or a couple more games with him at quarterback last season. But this season, I think Taquan Roberson will be that starter, should be a pretty solid option for them, and I believe we'll have a pretty solid season under center for the UConn Huskies. And then Joseph Fagano, and you get some other quarterbacks transferring in that in case Roberson gets hurt again, knock on wood, or again, Zion Turner doesn't work out, you have some other options in that quarterback room for this Husky team. But again, it is Roberson's job to lose, in my opinion. In the running back room, well, your third and fourth leading rushers are gone. That's Nathan Carter, pretty good player for this team over his career with the Huskies, 405 yards and the touchdown last season. And then Robert Burns, 74 carries, 374 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Huskies last season. But I did say that was your third and fourth leading rushers, which means your top 2 are back. Around 1,200 yards of production between these two, Victor Rosa and Devontae Houston. Rosa, 636 yards, 11 touchdowns. And Houston averaged almost 7 yards per carry last year, had 578 yards and 3 touchdowns. Both will be solid options for the Huskies in 2023, as well as a transfer coming over by way of Louisville and Jalen Mitchell that'll help give a boost to this to this running back unit. Trying to read something else over here. In the wide receiver room, well, again, not a room that got a whole ton of passes, but your leading receiver is going to be gone. That's Aaron Turner, 527 yards and 3 touchdowns. Keelan Marion and some others leave this wide receiver room. However, Kevin Clarcius, who had 288 yards in the touchdown, second leading receiver. Jacob Flynn, Cameron Ross, and some other names will return in this wide receiver room for Jim Mora's group. And you get some transfers coming in, most notably a former 3-star coming out of high school over by way of the New Mexico Lobos. It's Jordan Porter. He's going to be a solid addition to this wide receiver room for sure. In the tight end room, well, this is your third leading receiver from last year, Justin Jolly, at 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Luis Hansen is transferring in. Get this, he's a former 4-star coming out of high school. He's transferred over from Michigan and should be the featured tight end for UConn this season. That's a phenomenal pickup in the portal, for Jim Mora's group. On the offensive line, couldn't find a whole lot. Sorry, Husky fans. You can help me in the comment section below. But Jake Guidone is gone. You do return Noel Ofori Nyadu, Christopher Fortin, and Christian Haynes are all going to be coming back to highlight the offensive line. So defensively now, what can we expect from this Husky team? Well, on the defensive line, of course, it's where we always start. You return a lot of production on the defensive line. Eric Watts, Bryce Yates, Dalmont Gordian, Apologies for any mispronunciations. Deeply apologize. Jelani Stafford, Colin McCarthy, Sequoia McDuffie, and many others do come back. Watts with 7 sacks last year. Yates with 4.5 sacks. Gordy a sack and a half. McCarthy with 3. Stafford with 2. McDuffie with 1. What I'm saying, there's a lot of production coming back on this defensive line and a lot of pressure getting to the quarterback. This is the defense that generated 26 sacks last season. Not too shabby of a number at all. It's going to generate sacks this year as well. In the linebacking unit, well, Ian Swenson is gone, was your team's 4th leading tackler. 87 tackles, had half a sack last season and an interception to his name. And you also lose Brandon Boyer Randell, who had 98 tackles. That was tied for 2nd on the team. A sack, 2 interceptions as well. So a couple of really good players. The linebacking unit is gone. However, Jackson Mitchell comes back. He was your leading tackler last year. Get this. No, I'm not reading this number wrong. No, I did not switch a couple numbers. 140 tackles for Jackson Mitchell last season. 4.5 sacks last year. This is the Husky defense that had a lot of great players on it. It returns a lot of them, Jackson Mitchell being one of them, and you get some great transfers coming over in the linebacker unit as well. Eric Gilliard comes in from Kansas. He's a former 4-star out of high school. And then you also get another transfer in Noah Platt coming over. He's coming over from Delaware. And in the defensive back room, Trey Wortham is going to be gone. That's 39 tackles. 6 passes defended, and a team-high 4 interceptions last season. So Trey Wortham being gone, big news in this Husky secondary. However, again, theme for UConn this year, a lot of returning talent. Durante Jones, Malik Dixon Williams, Chris Sheeran, Malcolm Bell, Caleb Anthony, and some transfers. Zachary Spears and Mumu bin Wahad. This is going to be a very talented Husky secondary. This is going to be a very talented Husky team overall. Again, if there are some pieces and some players that can stay healthy, this UConn Husky team is looking to have a great 2023. Your head coach is Jim Mora, offensive coordinator Nick Charlton. Your defensive coordinator is Dalton Hilliard. As we take a look at the Husky football schedule, and it is full of landmines, but the Huskies, I think going to be competitive this season. Any game at home is underlined, and any game on the road will be in italics or the slanted text. So any game you see in green is a game that I believe UConn will be able to win easily. Any game in yellow is, okay, hey, the other team's going to put up quite a fight, but I believe that UConn will be able to win, and red is a loss. So, again, a lot of tricky games on this schedule, and week 1 is not kind to UConn. You start out with a Power 5 opponent, but you get them at home. It's a Thursday night game, but it's the NC State Wolfpack. This is the team out of the ranks of the ACC that is losing Devin Leary at quarterback. However, look who comes in. Brennan Armstrong is coming over from the University of Virginia. And he's got a lot of brand new pieces there in the skill position groupings to work with there at NC State. So, hey, maybe all the transfers there aren't settled in. That's a team that's losing a lot of talent defensively. However, I do think UConn loses this game. NC State's defenses under Dave Doeren always play aggressive. Don't know why words are so hard for me today. I apologize. But the aggressiveness of that defense, I think, is going to be able to lead NC State to a win in week 1. And I think the UConn Huskies are going to lose their first 2 games. I believe they lose to the Georgia State Panthers as well. This is a Georgia State team that's always tough, always competitive, always ready for anybody out of the ranks of the Sun Belt Conference. And I believe they're going to outwork the UConn Huskies, and they will win in week 2. Okay, week 3 comes here against FIU. This is the team that UConn played last year and ended up winning. I believe it'll be the same story again this season. FIU is a team in Conference USA that, again, may need more time to start climbing the ranks back towards the top of that conference. But with all that being said, UConn is a very talented team this season, and I believe they're going to be able to beat FIU for their first win of 2023. However, I do not believe their second win comes a week later. I do believe you lose to the Duke Blue Devils in week 4. Now, UConn can make this team pay. Daquan Roberson can make this team pay in the defensive back 7 where there is lacking depth. But the defensive line of Duke going to be able to create pressure to the quarterback. And that offense with Riley Leonard and company is going to be really, really good this season. There's a lot of returning production on the offensive side. I think that helps Duke out a ton. And I believe they hand UConn their 3rd loss for the Huskies to start out 1-3. Now, their next two games here are very winnable, and I think they win both of them. Utah State is going to be no pushover for the Huskies, but again, you get this game at home, and UConn is going to pick up some wins this year, and I think UConn starts to get things rolling here. Maybe Taquan Roberson settles in. Some of these transfers have found their place. Utah State is going to be no pushover. They're going to be no cakewalk. That's a team that's going to fight, that's going to play hard. But I believe that UConn going to be able to get that win in Week 5 against the Utah State Aggies. And then first road win of the year, I think you go on the road and beat Rice. Now, the Rice Owls are a team that have improved over the past couple of years in the ranks of Conference USA, and that's a team that now moves to the American Conference this season. The competition there is going to be higher, but they just get a tough draw here against UConn. I think UConn matches up well, but hey, don't discount Rice. Look at who they're getting at quarterback. JT Daniels comes in. He's got a lot of good skill position players. However, I believe that the Rice defense is not going to be able to keep up with this UConn offense. I think has a lot of great athletes on it. I think when Taquan Roberson is playing at his best level, I believe he's going to be able to outwork this Rice defense. And UConn gets a nice road win against the Rice Owls. And I believe that win streak will continue on to 3 against the South Florida Bulls. This is the team, again, out of the ranks of the American Conference that may need a little more time. I think that's a team that's steadily getting better, but they're just in the early processes of getting better. I think there's some pretty solid talent on that team, but with staying at home, UConn Huskies going to be able to pull off that win. Taquan Roberson and company will make some plays against that Bulls defense. Now, that South Florida offense, I think may be able to give them a little trouble here in this game, but I think the Huskies walk away victorious to improve to above 500, but that will quickly drop. As you take a look at their next 3 games, yikes, that is a daunting stretch. On the road against Boston College, I think you lose that one. Emmett Moorhead, I know Phil Dracovic is gone, but get used to that name at quarterback. I think he's got a great skill set and could be a good quarterback for Boston College. Now, that rushing attack does have to get better, yes, and this is the UConn defensive line that absolutely can make Boston College pay. But that is an Eagles team that's fairly tough to play when you have to play them in Chestnut Hill. And that's a Boston College team that, again, I think could be pretty solid among the ranks of the ACC this season. So UConn goes on the road, loses that game. Very close affair, though. Definitely could see UConn pulling off that win against Boston College. A win that I can't see them pulling off this year, though, is this game against Tennessee. Joe Milton has too much talent around him. Josh Heupel is a great offensive mind. They're going to basically out-scheme UConn in every step of the way. Now, UConn, I think, has talent to make this game interesting at points, but there's no doubt in my mind that I see Tennessee walking away with that win. And while they did have a 3-game win streak, I think they'll have a 3-game losing streak here as well. So James Madison is a team that came out of the FCS ranks last season, and would you look at that? There was really no adjustment process needed at all. That is a James Madison team that fit right in with the FBS competition, and I think they're going to fit in well with the ranks of the Sun Belt this season. That's another very solid team, and I think they're going to beat the UConn Huskies. However, UConn should win their second to last game of the year against an opponent out of the FCS ranks, and then UMass is up here on the schedule. The neutral site for this game is to be determined, although talking right now is it's going to be Fenway Park. That is just what I have heard and read, but again, nothing has been finalized. UMass is an improving team. They're getting a lot of nice transfers in, but they're not up to the talent of the UConn Huskies. So with that win, UConn secures bowl eligibility for the 2nd straight season, but make no mistakes, friends. If everything clicks for this Husky team, they can pull off an upset against a Power 5 opponent. They can pull off a win against one of these 2 Sun Belt teams I have them losing to. This is going to be a tough UConn team to play for anybody this season, and it would not surprise me in the slightest if UConn were to get to 7 or 8 wins this season. But this is a hard schedule. Still some things to work out for Jim Mora's group, but UConn, very solid team. I have them reaching bowl eligibility again in 2023. That'll do it for my preview and prediction for the UConn Huskies. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, hey, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.